Hello and welcome to another episode of The Creative Entrepreneurs. My name is Sean Pierre, also with the Mighty Beast podcast and on the Millions. I have a very special guest today, my friend Luke Atwood Abiol. He's a local San Francisco photographer, and we would love to pick his brain. Luke, thank you so much for joining the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, brother.
For the people who may not already know your work, and how would you describe what you create and what drives your style today?
Yeah, man. What I'm creating, especially these days, in over the last couple handfuls of years, man, has been pretty vast. I'd say I could break up, you know, what I make into like personal creative practice, which is predominantly like photography based, some motion, a lot of design incorporated into that, and like multimedia, and then like my commercial work, which is also centered around photography and a lot of video direction, but also I've been like, I don't know, better part of the last 10 plus years, I've been working as like an art director for photo and video, and also been in-house and consulting, like working through my small agency that I started some years ago as a creative director. So I'm kind of all over the place. And honestly, at this point, it's like trying to get clients and potential clients to understand just like the breadth of what I do is has been maybe the bigger challenge. It's like trying to figure out how to market exactly what I do in a way that helps people understand that it's not just you know, like, hey, bring me on as a producer just to produce. I don't need to do anything high level creative. Hey, bring me on as an art director. I don't need to shoot. You get what I'm saying? Bring me on
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
shooter. I don't need to like determine creative strategies. It's like, hey, bring me on for one or all of the above, and we can make it happen. Um, it's kind of where I'm at.
Nice. I want to give a little bit of idea to the listeners and to the viewers exactly what you do. And we're looking at your Instagram right here. And, you know, San Francisco photographers are, there's a lot of them. But I will say that your style in particular, I mean, I think we met, a few years ago, I'd
Yeah,
say. And just so
yeah,
you guys also know, like, Luke and I are also training partners over at Magala Jiu Jitsu in San Francisco. And when I found out he was a photographer, there's one thing to say that you're a photographer. Like many people can say that, many people can say a lot of things, and, not everyone has something to actually show for it. So it's one of those things. And we're looking at some of your work here and very professional stuff, very commercial looking, and your colors vivid, your shadows, highlights, everything is perfect about it, in my opinion. Now, how? Let's start from the beginning, and what's the first moment you knew you were drawn to creating images, and was it a camera moment or was it something else at that point?
yeah, man. I love that question, and thanks. Thanks for the words on the work, man. It's been a long path, and I guess even just saying that kind of brings me to the beginning. When a mentor of mine, I went to high school here in San Francisco. Now it's called Ruth Asawa School of the Arts High School. Um, so predominantly illustration and painting, a lot of sculpture. But I got my first camera, like an old Pentax I think K1000, the 35 millimeter camera. We built a dark room in one of the old bathrooms that was no longer in use. You know what I'm saying? It was like no ventilation, that type of shit, like blacking everything out with black garbage bags. Man, I was about 16 when I got my first camera. We were loading our own 35 millimeter film. We'd buy in bulk and just, load everything ourselves in the dark room, shooting a lot of slide film and shit like that. Um, man, I'd say like folks ask, even my kids are like, "Yo, how have you like stayed doing photography that long?" Because that was when I was 16. I'm 45 now, so that's like 30 years of making pictures, right? And um, it's not that I've been like super passionate or inspired most of the time. I probably haven't been. It's just you know, I get a little complacent, honestly. I'm like, do I really want to try to pick something else up right now? Which I constantly have a lot, I have a lot of whims, you know what I'm saying? Where I'm like, let me try this. Let me try open water swimming. Let me try fucking rowing. Let me try my hand at, archery, shooting guns, whatever the fuck, right? Like, photography just really stuck, and it felt like something that I had a kind of a natural inclination, to capturing pictures on film because that's what, I started when it was all film. And Um, yeah, I just never stopped, I mean, there were periods where I wouldn't shoot very much, or shoot at all, kind of lean on old work. But yeah, so that was the beginning. Then I got like a medium format camera. Um, my folks got me like a little Yashica mat, twin
Wow.
lens reflex.
Yeah.
So I was shooting medium format, square, 6x6 square pictures. Moved to New York in 2001.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was in New York for a while and studied there, had some of my greater mentors out there as well in photography, folks that really um, opened me up to a whole different way of like experiencing art in general, not just photography, right? Like looking at painting. They would always ask, like, what are you looking at? What are you reading? You know? And using photography as a way to kind of like explore the world as opposed to just like sharing our point of view on things, right? It was like all the work you make is not meant to be shared was like a common
100%.
conversation, right? Is like, is this work that's meant to be shared, or is this work that's like therapy work, or is it both? Um, right. So like a lot of questions around that, and then so finished the program at Purchase College around 2004. Um, And at that point, I picked up a 4x5 and an 8x10 camera. So I was shooting a lot of like some commercial work and a lot of commission work with 8x10 like chrome, 8x10 inch sheets of slide film loaded into the back of a big ass camera.
Crazy.
With the dark cloth, I still shoot with a 4x5 um, for jobs and mostly like portrait commissions, for magazines or newspapers, that kind of thing. Some fashion stories I'll still shoot with a 4x5. A lot of my personal work still shoot with a 4x5. I was walking around with a permalone from two really good friends of mine, Hasselblad today, that I've been shooting with for like the last almost 10 years too. So um, it's really all over the place, man. If anyone is interested to look at the site, you know what I mean? Like most of that work is commercial work, but a lot of it is, clients coming to me. Thankfully, I feel really lucky for that, where they'll say, "Hey, we saw some of your work online. Can you shoot this campaign like this?" Right? Like in your voice or in your style. I feel really lucky to have been, in positions where I can bring my voice to the work, you know.
It's crazy you mentioned that you spent some time in New York and
Yeah,
you you kind of took up a lot of the different types of art, and it really shows in a lot of your shots, just your composition, like I said, your colors and your highlights and your darks, and um you brought it back to, kind of the beginnings. Now, do you remember your first kind of like, I wouldn't say like paid shoot or anything, but the first time someone said, "Hey, you have a camera or you're a photographer, why don't you come over and shoot like one of the things that I
yeah,
need to shoot?"
yeah, for sure. I'd say, damn, it might have been in New York. I feel like the one that's most stand out for me, I would like shoot. The school I was at had a lot of actors, so I would shoot portraits of them. A lot of dancers as well. I also played music for a number of years. I still play percussion.
Really?
Like super traditional music though from like Cuba and Haiti. So there's a lot of need for that type of music in, you know, for to play for dance companies that perform like really traditional forms of dance, like African diasporic dance from mostly the Caribbean. So, um, dance companies would bring me on to shoot portraits. That's some of my favorite work is, especially when I was in New York, having dancers from, personal friends who needed headshots or dancers from Alvin Ailey Company or other places in New York, wanting to collaborate. Um, but the first like big job I had in a photography studio, I assisted for a while and then kind of became a partner in this studio in Chelsea in Manhattan. It was shooting art, so a lot of the galleries and arts foundations and museums in New York used a photographer named Chris Burke, who's still working. Uh, One of my New York dads right there, and just like kind of
Hey,
a legend in that space. Um, the first day I got a job at his studio, and the first day I started there, I didn't shoot anything, but he was like, "Hey, I have this like $80,000 Matisse drawing that we just photographed in the studio. I wrapped it up in some glassine and in some like heavy cardboard, and I need you to carry this like 20 blocks uptown to the gallery." And he was like, "You do understand what is in this package, right?" I'm like, "Oh shit." So it was pretty dope, like New York in general, to be able to like photograph and really kind of refine my skill set and refine my like very classical like technical skills of like shooting large format film and lighting objects and lighting spaces and moving slow but also having to be efficient because we're on the clock, right? uh Being able to like work on my craft, but in the greater context of like photographing art and working with gallerists and being um in that space in New York, in the early, I'd say, really early to mid 2000s, the aughts was an incredible time. It was like such a great experience and really very formative years, you know what I mean? Like that was some real schooling, you know.
the fact that you are, traditionally trained as far as shooting film, anyone can do that in a high school and anyone can do that in college. But the fact that you went up to like medium format and everything in between, and this is even before you went digital. Am I correct?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's like I'd say 8 or so years in New York, or maybe 7 years in New York, and then I moved to Berlin, to Germany. Um and I was still shooting only film when I moved there in like 2007 or 2008. Uh like I was still shooting only large format film, which is crazy. Um I was working like I was getting a lot of my editorial commissions through like Wallpaper magazine or Monocle magazine, other like architectural publications, a lot of German like publications as well that are really really dope. And they all wanted, collaborations with designers, right? That were working in fashion. I was just like shooting all large format film for everybody.
Crazy.
Right? It's wild, son. And then so the first time I actually shot digital, shit, man, it was like I had this job. There was like a collaboration between BMW and the Guggenheim Museum that was taking place in Berlin, and they hired me to shoot a bunch of stuff. And they were like, "Yeah, cool, you can shoot large format, but we need like a lot of coverage. So you're gonna have to shoot digital for that because it's a quick turnaround as well." So I got like a Canon 7D so I could shoot some video as well because that was kind of like the standard for the DSLR shooting. Like it was better than the 5D for video at the time, I think.
Was
And that was like 2010, 2011, maybe later, bro. It was like maybe 2012. I did that, and I didn't shoot digital until then.
Yeah,
You
and
know what I
that's
mean?
also isn't that also a crop sensor too? Back there, back in the
Yeah,
day.
it was
Yeah,
like I think so. Either that or it was like the full frame Canon sensor. I forget. It was one or the other, but it was tight, and I used it for years. Um, but that's when I picked it up, and it was really hard, man. It was like such a hard learning curve for me to like start shooting digital on this little fucking camera. It was like I felt very out of my depths, and my work was shit for a long time until I got my head around. I think, man, until I moved to back to San Francisco in like 2015, and I think even then, my like first 2 years back here, I was still struggling to shoot digital in a way that I thought was even good. You
Now,
know,
your resume sounds crazy. It sounds. I had no idea that it was that there was that much depth to your skill. Now,
right on.
that sounds amazing. Everything else sounds amazing, but I think what people want to hear is some of the mistakes you've made
Yeah,
in between. I think a lot of people can learn from these types of situations. And
yeah,
I struggle, sometimes with imposter syndrome on certain gigs that I do. But what type of mistakes were you making? I know that the learning curve from film to digital, there was a ton of mistakes, but let's talk about your bread and butter with the film and what type of mistakes were made in that type of process.
yeah, for sure. I'd say maybe the first shoot I ever assisted on, maybe dropping. We were shooting 8x10 large format film. And you've seen them, these cameras
Yeah,
are fucking huge, right?
crazy.
They look like a
Yeah.
suitcase with like an accordion in the middle. Like I legit dropped this really beautiful,
Shit.
super rare lens on like it landed straight on the floor, and it was like a sandlot effect kind of moment where it hits the floor and then everything stops, like you don't hear shit else, right? I know that's not the kind of mistake you're asking about, but
Oh, that's a huge mistake.
that's the first thing that comes to mind. I'm like, dude, I'm not built for assisting, you know what I mean? Like I'll fuck everything up. Man, I'd say, I mean, you mentioned imposter syndrome, right? And I think part of that, like, I don't know if it was a mistake or if it was part of the learning curve or just part of the process of like trying to develop a business practice around the creative work. But underselling and underquoting on work, I think, in order to like stay competitive or not scare away clients, especially when you're first starting out, but even fucking now. Now we're talking about like a few decades later, maybe 25 years since the first time I ever shot for money. And I'm still having these conversations with myself where I'm like, yeah, first mistake. And it's also like hundreds of shoots later, I'm like, oh, I still underbid on this shoot. You know what I mean? Or I still didn't set boundaries around deliverables. I still didn't set boundaries around numbers of reviews back and forth, like all the fucking things, man, all the considerations. And but I'll say, as a photographer, both working like, because I make prints that I sell, like people collect my work. I have like two published books that I really love, that have done really well. And, I feel super honored that people are even interested in buying shit that I make.
Yeah.
Right. But that's part of it too, right? Like where, uh, there's like, a commercial or a commerce aspect, that runs parallel with my creative practice for my personal work. And then definitely on the business side for commercial work, it's like, my first mistake is always going to be my last mistake, right? It's like the first mistake I ever made is going to directly be a reflection and vice versa of the most recent mistake I make. Because
Yeah.
it's like, it's constant, you know what I mean? The landscape is always changing. Technologies are always changing. Here we are with AI, people losing their shit about, AI taking jobs, which it's already happening. But also, we're talking about, um, shit, man. I was studying photography at a time when illustrators, sculptors, and painters were still saying that photography wasn't an art. You know what I'm saying? Where they're
Yeah.
like, oh, that there's only photography is only good for commercial applications. It's not like real fine art. And this is like late 90s, early 2000s, people were still saying that. So here we are now with AI coming into the picture and feeling like we need to be even more competitive for the crumbs that, clients or companies are willing to pay for what we do. It's tricky, man. And I know, I might sound like I'm all over the place right now, but I'm kind of just
No, no,
like,
not at all.
okay, just speaking my thought process right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
And that the track that this like creative process runs on is like totally twisted.
100%.
So my shit's all over the place.
That's crazy because you mentioned AI and like taking over jobs and stuff like that. And, I follow kind of the trends at the moment only because I shoot mainly digital at this point and I use AI to like help with editing and like all this
Yeah.
other shit and taking out noise and like helping with
Yeah.
video and stuff like that. And um, that's kind of a turning point in our industry, and there had to have been a turning point for you as well. I mean, so
Yeah.
you're in New York. There was a point where you're getting these really you're learning from a bunch of people and you're learning all these different arts and styles and stuff. Was there also a turning point when you were in New York and then all of a sudden you're coming back to San Francisco to kind of pursue your own thing?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, after I was in New York and then was in Germany. So then that was definitely a massive turning point, like a real inflection point in regards to how I made work, right? Because even like in the formal study of photography that I was kind of entrenched in when I was in New York in those earlier years, a lot of what we were studying was, a movement called New Topographics. So a bunch of German cats from Dusseldorf who were shooting with large format cameras, right? And not, the idea was to be shooting people and objects and spaces, primarily spaces, in a way that was like not doing your best as a photographer to not uh, affect the environment. So shooting, making everything as sharp as possible, not necessarily for aesthetic purposes, but like the concept around it was like you want to show what you see, right? Um, so I was shooting a lot of that, right? Like my personal work was primarily urban landscape when I was in New York and portrait. But when I got to Germany, bro, it was like, oh, there's almost like a pilgrimage as a dude who shot large format film in that style. And it was definitely like another type of schooling being in Germany, right? Where um the folks that I worked with and my contemporaries in Berlin and elsewhere in Germany were very like everybody's super educated on photography in commercial editorial spaces and especially in like, fine art spaces. Heads were very studied and, I was just like in these places where I've been lucky over my career to be like in buildings or in spaces with my literal heroes, right? Like people that I'd studied forever. You know what I mean? At least folks that were still alive. So I'd say there were a number of inflection points and like turning points, a lot of crossroads, right? Like coming back to San Francisco after being like between New York and Germany for, I don't know, like better part of 20 years was like, you know, the deal here, man. It's like there are five pretty good clients and they're all in the retail space. There are like a dozen really good clients in the tech space, and then like what you're doing, what you've been doing with real estate. There's like a handful of like really dope real estate clients potentially, and you can't really work for, you know, if you're working for one, you can't really work for the competition either. So it's a little tricky. It's not like
Yeah,
the market is not super interesting here, um and I feel like, real estate, and it's not even fashion, it's just like more geared towards retail marketing, um plus tech is like, I don't know, man.
different.
It's different, bro. It's like, when I got back, I was like, the last shoot that I was booked for, and I actually ended up not shooting it in Berlin was for Mercedes, right? Like I had an
Wow.
agent who was pretty dope. Uh, it was a great opportunity, but also again, like really crazy clients that normally pay a ton for photography and you know, visual storytelling in general. Like they would come to Berlin to like produce shit on the cheap, right? So it was all Mercedes, but the budget was shit. So go figure. But nonetheless, the conversations were dope, right? Because it would always eventually lead to something else. Um, and then coming to San Francisco, where I was like, yo, what's even here? You know what
Nothing
I mean?
really. It's like weddings.
Yeah,
That's about
exactly, which is
it.
dope. And it's like respect, it's like people's livelihoods. And I know some wedding photographers who like, buying holiday houses up in the mountains just based on how well they're doing. You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of potential in every space, but it definitely took some getting used to. And also, like, I found that even sharing my work, people were like, we don't even know what the fuck to do with this work. Like, here, maybe try talking to Apple, or maybe try talking to, or right. So I had to find a way to, I was struggling, man. I was like kind of stressing out. Like, I don't have any lifestyle photography. I don't have anything that's interesting to anyone here. Like, I would get jobs and the client would be like, man, these pictures are crazy, but like, do they have to be this beautiful? Or these pictures are dope, but like, can you make it look like someone who's like shooting from the hip and more amateurish? Can you like shoot that way?
Damn.
You feel me? And
That's
it's like,
100% right.
you know what I'm saying? So I was always like, all right, dope, but so it's also about like creating my own lane, right? Because, you know, shit, case in point, man, like working with our brother George, who started Perry, right? For anyone who doesn't know, Perry's like probably, probably the dopest, you know, grappling gear brand out right now, I think, right? At least to me, I mean that shit's
Me too.
fire. It's everywhere. All like there's a lot of dope cats that are repping it out, in the competitive space. Um, and me and George started working together because we all train together. And George is like, "Yo, I want this shit to look as crazy as possible. Like, let's fucking kill this." So here we are bringing in some like I don't know, Dutch masters looking fucking lighting design and shooting dudes wrestling in a dark room or
It's hard to make that look cool, right?
right. So we're like we're like trying all kinds of things and not holding ourselves back, right? Essentially is what it is. And the work you were making for him was fucking fire too, bro. So I'm like, it really is all about like finding the folks that you want to work with who um share like a value system around the work and are saying, let's approach this with as much integrity as possible. Because, on that note, not every job is going to be made for me or for you, right? It's like I've had I've had folks hit me up about jobs where I'm like, I really wanted it to work out. And I'm like, damn, yo, that budget is fire. The project is cool, but like, I'm actually not your guy. I know someone that would actually be better for this job. You know what I mean? Because I found, and that brings me back to another mistake is like trying to get my hands on every fucking job that I could reach, right? And then uh the creative is not really meant for me. Like if you want to bring your best self as like a creative professional, you also have to be able to acknowledge whether or not like, we all have our personal visual language that we've been cultivating for years, right? Since we picked up a camera or since we first got on InDesign or since we first started uh, designing spaces or drafting, architectural designs. It's whatever. Like you couldn't. It's like once you have that established thing, right? You want to push limits, but you also got to acknowledge when you're just like, oh, you know what? This is probably not a good fit. and then trying to fit yourself into that brief that doesn't make sense for you. That feels like it, you know, I've not had the best experience. Um, you know,
So when you were back in San Francisco and you were experiencing all of this stuff, now I'm sure there was a lot of doubt and a lot of like, is this what I'm going to be doing? There's just a lot that goes on when you come back to the city and you find out that the people out here, they're very budget. Like they always go by like a budget, or they have like different styles, or they have a marketing team, or they have like an art director that wants a specific thing. Now, was there any advice that was given to you early on, and what was the best advice for you to get through that really tough time trying to find your identity in this city?
yeah, yeah, dope question. And my answer is going to be totally contradictory to like all that I
Not
just
at all.
said.
Not at all.
But and well, it will be because at the same time as I'm like, hey, if it feels like too much of a stretch for, you know, what you feel you have, the quality of your work that is like your best offering, if it feels like a bad fit, you should probably say no. The other advice that I got that I live by is um say yes and figure it out. You know what I mean?
That was a lot of me back. I mean, even till this day, I'm just like yes, and then just fucking figure
And
it
then just
out.
fucking figure it out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm like, and I'm putting myself on blast right now, but like my first client request to come and like manage a team of post-production like video editors. Like I didn't we were it was all on Final Cut. I had never fucking used the software in my life, bro. I was like literally in the corner on my laptop.
YouTube
Uh
University.
yeah, on YouTube. Like what is how do I put video into the timeline, shit like that, super simple stuff. But realizing after the fact that um the client felt that my value was not necessarily being able to like perform on the technical level, but being able to uh help keep the train running, help to inspire the team, keep the work growing, and also offer like higher level direction on creative, right? So it wasn't necessarily, you know, like I find myself, speaking of, imposter syndrome. I'm like, oh, they must just want me here because they think I can like be an editor. It's like, nah, dog. They think you can be a great leader of a group of creatives and help them to find focus for a very specific, project that is, based on like brand strategy and overarching creative direction, right? It's like, how are you going to help them to get to that goal? Like that's what you're here to do. So you know the at the same time as I'm like, hey, find a lane and maybe don't hit too many departures from that because it feels smart. It's also like, I don't know, man. Time is short, bro. Fuck it. Like, just try everything, And also, dude, you never know when, I think one of those turning points was when I got back to San Francisco and was like, damn, how do I fit here as a photographer? And I had somebody hit me from Gap out of nowhere and say, hey, um, heard you're here from Germany, would love to, heard you're a great art director, like here from Germany, like would be interested to see if you want to come work with us at Gap. And I'm like, I've never art directed a fucking shoot in my life, right? But if I would have said
Yeah.
no to that,
I
you
mean,
know what I
look at you
mean?
now, man. You know?
Right. First of all, the rates are better generally than, if you're in those spaces anyway, at least for like e-commerce and things like that. ADs are got a cushier rate. You can help influence, like higher level creative and really help to lead teams, right? Which is also a great experience if you're trying to like do, keep on that trajectory. Um, in the creative fields. Um, that's definitely like another part where I'm like, advice heard. Just
Nice,
say
man.
yes and then go figure the shit out.
Figure it out. I think there was something I learned in a course when I was like, fake it till you make it, right?
Dude, that
Shit.
part, that part, I mean, same with my first creative director job, you know? I was on LinkedIn with the founder of this like dope, kind of like wellness type company out of London. And she was like, yo, I love your work. Like, I'm gonna be in San Francisco. I'm also looking for a creative director. Like, you wanna get coffee? I'm like, yeah, let's go. So I had a pitch. I was super inexperienced in pitching creative and plus strategy and plus like how I'm gonna help you grow your creative team. And I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, honestly. I had never done any really CD work before. I mean, you know how it is, like we're shooters, right? So like if you're on set with a client that doesn't have a creative team, they're leaning on us
Yeah, you're
to set
everybody.
creator,
Yeah, you're
right?
everybody.
You know what I mean? Like everybody does that. So even if they do have a creative team, they're leaning on the photographer to bring their eye, their visual language, all the things to it. So especially, on bigger shoots. So it felt like, what, I think I could do this. It was hard as hell. It didn't really work out in the end. It was a great experience. We made some really dope work. Some of that stuff is on site still because I really love it. What we did. But again, I'm like, if I would have just been too scared to say yeah, or be like, oh, I'm not ready for this opportunity yet. uh, You know, I,
Knows what happened, right?
yeah,
Crazy.
yeah,
Now, you and let's talk about you and your life as a photographer at this point. And what's the part of the job that people never see but matters the most to your success?
right. Man, I love that question. I'd say, and I've been talking about this a lot with the kids lately, is I'd say not relying on inspiration in order to make work. And
Great point.
also like always be shooting, which is something that I've never really been great at until I got my first iPhone, honestly. And I was just shooting all the time. And then when I realized that I could shoot in digital all the time, then I started carrying a camera around with me more, digital, film, whatever, different formats, all the things, right? So, yeah, I feel like that, but it needs to be a discipline. Like, how this, like David Goggins shit. He's like, oh, you don't want to run today? It's like, just put on your shoes or whatever the fuck, right? Put on your shoes. And then once you get your shoes on, then of course
All good.
you're gonna hit the door,
Yep.
right? So, but it's basically like, I mean, I had teachers and mentors that were like, yo, if you're waiting for inspiration to like make photographs, because I said that once, they're like, oh, why didn't you shoot for this project? And I was like, oh, I wasn't inspired. It's like, oh, well, good luck when you're out of here and you're trying to make money off this, or you're trying to get a show, or trying to get a publisher to be interested in your work, or trying to get your work in front of a photo editor at New York Times Magazine, or all the things. You need to be making new work all the fucking time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That hasn't changed at all. It's like, you know, all the admin and all the design and all the chops that we need to learn in order to, like, I don't have anyone that's gonna like refresh new work onto my site every time. You know the deal. You probably got a backlog of months worth of projects to be putting online, right? I mean,
Lot.
you know, it,
So true. So fucking
bef-
true, man.
before I fucking forget though, I was just at PhotoWorks on Market Street dropping off 2 rolls that I shot with that Hasselblad that I shoot all the time with. The dude asked me, he was like, "Hey, so after I get you these scans, do you want us to toss the negatives or you want to keep them?"
Whoa.
I was like, "What?"
That's a
I was like,
first.
wait, hold on. What are you talking about? First of all, I just need processing only. I don't need scans. And like, what do you mean? Like people actually ask you to just toss their negatives? He's like, oh yeah, all the time. Look back there. And there was a big ass gray bin full of envelopes,
What?
full of negatives. Young cats are just bringing their film in, getting the film processed, getting scans, high res or, JPEG, whatever for the gram, posting the digital file and being like, I don't need the film.
Blasphemous.
It's fucking wild, bro.
Dude. That's the original shit right there.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm like, what happens when you lose the digital
Yeah.
file?
It's gone forever, dude.
Yeah. But also,
That's
the deal,
crazy.
right? Like cats who are, and there's no right or wrong way around this. It's just
Of
like
course.
strange to me because it's like you if you throw away the film, you're leaving money on the table potentially. Because what if somebody hits you and is like, yo, I want that picture you have on your Instagram, I
I
want
want
that
that.
at like 60 by 70 inches, a print. Here's $5,000 for it.
You gonna say
What the fuck are you gonna say?
they're gonna try to use AI to
You know,
increase the resolution,
you're
dude?
right. A 5 by 7 inch file at 300 DPI, you can't upres your way into
Nope.
like a 60 by 70 inch print, bro. It's not gonna work. So I'm just like, what are you talking about? It was legit a confusing moment, and it didn't make me like feel old or dated or whatever. I was just like, that's fucking dumb. Who would do that? Like who doesn't have space for film, man? You're not shooting that much.
Crazy. You can stick it in a binder, for God's sake.
Binders I got, big ass Tupperwares I got full
Yeah.
of film.
That's just like me, man. Like I hoard everything. Like I haven't deleted.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, obviously I've deleted I call my stuff and I keep a lot of the stuff that I really don't even need to keep, but it's
same
just
man. I
because you never
normally
know.
normally right behind me, I got like a stack of those fucking lacy, rugged orange drives. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah. So how about this? After all the shoots, the clients, the travel, creative sessions, all of that stuff, what's one lesson photography has taught you about yourself?
Yeah. Don't be a lazy shooter, man. You know what I mean? It's like everybody's busy, but I think, you know, it's like working out. Like when the kids, and your kids are a little older, right? And mine too. When they were younger, I'm like, when they were babies, if I needed to, if I wanted to like keep working out, I'd have to find a way. I'm like, okay, so I'll keep a couple kettlebells by the stove, and when I'm like making them oatmeal or whatever the fuck in the morning, like get some
Get it
kettlebell
in.
snatches in, or do chin ups
Yeah,
while you know I'm roasting a chicken or whatever the fuck, right? I'm like, you gotta, as far as photography goes, your work is only going to be as good as your practice is consistent. You know what I mean?
100%.
And that's why. I mean, how long am I? We met maybe 6 years ago when I started training with Travis, right? And it's like, my shit. I'm like, I'm so off and on that almost 7 years later, I'm still a fucking white belt, bro.
You're still good though. Come on, man.
Yeah, no doubt. But you know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like, and that's not like a jab at myself. It's more like you can be you can be consistent in the background, but it's not necessarily gonna like change where you're at. Like, do you still love what you're doing and you love what you're doing around the people you're doing it with? Then just keep doing that shit. Nothing else really matters. You know what I mean? Like, I feel lucky to have come into communities with you guys, at the gym, uh, where I'm and folks I work with, uh, at different places, in the city or in the Bay Area, where I'm like, you know, if I ever got an opportunity outside of this location, I'd have to seriously consider like, damn, what gym is gonna be like, what training partners are gonna be as dope as these cats?
I
You know what
agree.
I'm saying? And or like what, DPs or producers or directors, like there's always dope people everywhere, but it's like the relationships, man, is everything.
I agree.
It's what
100%.
makes any of it worth it to me, dude. Like
Same here.
if I was training with cats that I just thought were shit, I'd be like, I don't care. I don't want to do this, you know? And it's the same with the work. And it brings me to a point where I'm like, you know, with the work and in regards to AI, I was having this thought this morning, where I'm like, there there's nothing an AI can create in terms of creative work that is going to emulate for us, like as a team, collectively, the feeling of creating something together or being on set and like working through challenges together to like, get the best outcome or honestly, like even sharing resources, like it feels incredible to be able to like refer people that you really trust to clients or projects that you maybe don't have time for or can't travel for, or you're the wrong fit, right? Like that's the shit that technology is not going to be able to take from us is the human experience of it all, right?
I agree.
And the interpersonal and just, like all of that for me, man, is what makes this whole thing even worth it,
Yeah.
you know?
I just don't think that I just have a really hard time accepting the fact that AI can have the creative eye to produce something that, like the stuff that you have on your website, there's no way that AI can produce that stuff. There's no
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
And now that brings me to kind of like the future. And, both of us are 45 years old, like we're the same age. We've had uh, our run from beginning to right now. Now, for the beginners or to the beginners, for someone that wants to become a photographer today, where should they realistically start, in your opinion?
I'd say find a camera, any camera, and just start telling stories.
Yeah,
I
100%.
mean, I think we could all benefit from seeing less people's food photography or, you know,
And their ass cheeks and like
ass cheeks.
everything.
And so, I'll be polite and call them self-portraits. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, like, so, self-portraiture is a real ass fucking genre of
it
fine
really
art,
is.
bro. It's like you can approach that with a level of creativity and innovation um and energy that, you would approach any other form of storytelling, right? Like it's a real thing. So I don't know, man, like, using photography to document or video or even audio recordings to document,
Anything.
like a parent or, your grandparents. You know what I mean? Like I can't tell you how many folks that I've lost over the years that I'm like, fuck, man, I should have recorded this story. At the very least, I should have made a portrait of them. You know what I'm saying?
So true. Now,
And it's like it's such a dope medium, and it's such a like a I don't want to say true or authentic because it's also not. You know what I
very
mean?
true. Yeah.
But it's like there's such an opportunity, and I'll say this: photography is more democratic than it's ever.
Wow. That's actually a very valid statement right there.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to a fault, I think, in the commercial space, it's like, for fuck's sake, like anybody can shoot, anybody can just come and shoot this thing, which is fine. It makes us all have to be that much better and that much more savvy and that much more, I don't know, uh,
So true, man.
right?
Now, I really love what you said about, just picking up a camera and going. Like I had a situation recently where, my kids know what I do for a living and they see me on the podcast and they see me doing a lot of things with like media and stuff like that. So they were kind of interested in it, you know, more interested when they were in fucking jujitsu or in like Muay Thai and stuff like
Yeah,
that. But
right.
I had this little T4i, this little Canon
Dope.
T4i
Yeah.
that I had.
Was that the Rebel?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
Hell
And
yeah.
that was the first, I think, model, that consumer model where there was autofocus and there was like a tracking option for it too.
That was a
So
big deal, man.
it
That
was
Rebel was the shit.
it was loud as fuck, but then,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. So I actually gave it to them, and I put a big memory card on there. And if the first time that they were able to do some stuff, I automatically saved all this stuff, and then one night I just kind of went through it.
Yeah.
Like kids, if kids can produce something kind of cool, then that means like anyone else older than them can produce something cool as well. And um, it was about like last week, my son was like, "Hey, I want to try the video on this." Because they were just doing stills, and
Yeah.
when kids grab a piece of electronics, they push all the buttons, they kind of explore all the shit that's on there. And I told him, I was like, "Dude, let's make a movie, dude. Let's just see what we can do."
So
So
great.
so he set up a bunch of like Power Rangers, and we did some dialogue and whatever. And it really, like, when you put it out in front of somebody that has actually created it, and I put it together, edited it for him and whatnot, but you should have seen the look on his face when he saw
Yeah.
the final product. And that kind of brought me back to when I picked up a camera and I actually shot something that was worthy of even printing, or even like putting on my background on my computer or whatnot.
That part.
So that type of stuff is, I think, what inspires, you know, especially the youth now. The youth fucked right now.
Yeah.
Like, they're all just like social media driven and whatnot, and
Yep. Yep.
it's crazy. Now, what do you think holds most new photographers back at this point? Like skill, mindset, fear, or something
Yeah.
else?
Well, speaking of the new generation, I think it's because the social media landscape is so saturated with people that may or may not be actually doing well in real life, but the perception is that they're killing it. And maybe if they're a photographer or like a content creator or whatever the fuck, like maybe it looks like they're killing it, then the younger generation, especially, I feel, are susceptible to the pressure of like considering what success looks like before they even start making any work of substance. You know what I'm saying? It's like I think the practice of when we were coming up, like there was no other option. There was like, you know, photo 1 hour turnaround photo labs and shit. But that was still a wait. And you still didn't know if you were gonna even have anything worth looking at. Yeah. I got envelopes and envelopes full of pictures from Costco from over the years that are either like from family or shit I was trying to make pictures. It was like thousands of fucking prints, man, like
Yeah,
little 5x7s or whatever. And you're like, most of these look insane. Like there's just like a thumb in every shot, or you know what I mean? Like you just don't know, and you just didn't know what you were gonna get. And I think the practice of having to delay the gratification of knowing that you even got a shot,
yeah, really important.
right? I think that was so valuable and it's still valuable. And I recommend that to anyone who wants to start shooting is shoot all digital you want. We already are doing that every day. Like the iPhone Pro that just came out is insane. Like you could pretty much shoot anything with that thing. The new Pixels, all the shit, like the technology is so advanced at this point that, you know, it's hard to tell if you shot it with a Fujifilm or with a fucking iPhone. Like,
Yep,
who knows? You know?
so true.
And especially if you're looking at it on a screen. So, but I would say maybe think more about making the work and think about why you want to make the work, because it's all like it could be an avenue for financial gain. It could be an avenue for more of a followership around whatever platform you're currently using. But if you're serious about like wanting to make images because you think it's important to you or you feel passionate about being able to document or tell stories or just make pretty shit, then I would suggest also using shooting with film.
Yeah,
Just finding something simple and right, and it's like it's also like the limitations of film because of the time, but also it's so expensive now. Like you can't
Yeah.
just be shooting all the time and scanning all the time. It's like you really do have to like tap into a different type of patience and expectation, you know?
I mean, if you think
And
about it, who's still developing film nowadays besides Costco? Is Walgreens, CVS still doing that stuff or no?
CBS is still doing it.
Yeah.
Aside from the actual labs, I'd say yeah, Costco, CVS. Do Walgreens even exist anymore? Like I don't.
A lot of them are closing, man. But
They're all closing.
dude, their photo lab was pretty
It was the
legit,
shit back in
man.
the day, bro.
But yeah,
Like I knew legit photographers that were, also students that they're like, yeah, I got a job. I worked photo lab at Walgreens or Target or whatever, just because that was like
that was the
that was the
one.
hookup.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude, that's crazy. Now,
yeah,
what's something you wish someone told you at the very beginning of your journey?
man. I had so many people telling me shit all the time. I don't know that anything was left out, honestly. I feel pretty lucky for that. At the time, I think maybe it was annoying, but I feel super grateful for, peers plus mentors, folks who I received an inheritance from, right? Like in regards to, an inheritance in the form of, I don't know, man, just like the energy and the love that they approach their own work with really influenced my own. And I feel like there's not much more valuable than being able to like gain those lessons.
Now, would you say that because I took on a couple mentors as well,
Yep.
and would you say that that's a very important thing? Because I feel like some people, when they get into something like this, they want to be self-taught. They want to just learn
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
There was a point where, for me, I wanted to test the waters in every genre of photography that I could that was around me. And I felt like if I had a mentor early on that was, I mean,
Yeah.
not saying like they're telling me what to do, but kind of trying to help me find my inner, art as far as like
Mm.
what I want to project out there.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a good question for you. If you could give one message to a photographer who's talented but stuck, what would you tell them?
Yeah. Um I'd say it depends on the nature of like their stuck feeling
Oh,
because
good point.
right? Because there were times where I felt stuck or uncomfortable or insecure about the type of work I was making. And for me, I come to find out that when you're feeling insecure, as long as you're making work, right? As long as you're putting in the work, if you're insecure about the work that you're producing, you're probably doing the right thing.
Oh, I love that.
You know what I mean? Cause
Yeah,
like,
like, yeah. If you're a
dude,
fucking dick and you're like, hey, here it is. This is fucking amazing. And it's
right.
shit. Your mind's never going to change.
Yeah, that's right. Or being like, there's like expected outcomes too, like you can start to become super formulaic with your work. And we're all guilty of that. Not that there's like any guilt around it, but you get what I'm saying. Like we all fall into that where I speak for myself. I've fallen into that where I'm like, well, I know how to make this picture. Well, this will probably like get me a job, or someone will want to buy this because I know how to do this one thing. And that's great to an extent. But if you're interested in growing and exploring and not being bored with your own shit, then you're gonna have to find yourself in an insecure space, with the work. I think that translates into everything you're trying to learn, right? Like training, music, and any fucking skill set. I mean, shit, firefighters. It's like, how many different types of locks can you pick? You're trying to breach all kinds of doors, so you better learn all the tools, right? Not just stick to what you're comfortable with or like staying in your comfort zone, right? So I think it's super important in every facet.
I agree. Because you can be a plumber and people will think that you're the dirtiest motherfucker out there, but you're the one doing side jobs making fucking thousands on a weekend or
Yep.
something like that,
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
So as of today,
Yeah.
for Luke. How's business and how does it feel to be in this industry?
Yeah. It's good, man. My lady, Leela, she let me know, apparently she informed me that apparently there was like a retrograde or some shit going on. I don't know if you are up on astrology at all.
My mother always tells me about it, so yes.
Right. I'm like, isn't there always a
Yeah,
retrograde?
yeah,
Because shit is always feeling weird to me.
yeah.
But I said, jokes aside, after the holiday, it's hit or miss, man. I had a full-time creative director job um that I left 2 years ago now. Damn, that's a minute.
Wow.
Yeah, I left to go back to freelance. I, saved a little money, took some time, spent a lot of time with the kids. Got a job at my homeboy's deli for the
Nice.
last like year and a half.
Where's
Helped
this
him
at?
open helped him open a new location. It's been great. Just spent my time making sandwiches or talking to people about sandwiches and cheese on a daily basis. It's been fucking tight.
Dude, that's an art in its own, man.
It is, bro. And I found that I'm like, oh, I'm made for this deli life. But at the same time, I've been shooting freelance or directing or producing freelance projects, right? So work has been good. I've just been trying to not approach it from like a space of, from a business standpoint, like insecurity or scarcity, right? Like normally, I mean, you know how that shit is. It's like, yo, I got to get every fucking job I can get. Especially when you got a family, man. It's like if you're freelance, it can be tricky, extremely tricky. So, um, but I've been moving slow and moving intentionally on purpose, even though that shit is fucking uncomfortable. Um, so that I, so that I'm approaching even the commercial or corporate work with a level of intentionality, if that's even a word,
Take it.
uh, with a level of intention, um, that, so that whatever like full-time gig I take on next is actually like I'm finding myself in the right space, you know?
Of course, man. That's the way to go, man. I think sometimes you have to take on different things to kind
Yeah,
of either bring back the love and like, I was talking to the guest that I interviewed last week who's an artist, and he dropped his job as well, his full-time job, just to pursue, his freehand artistry. And
yeah.
he also combines it with jujitsu. He's one of the coaches over at Cojaldo and
Dope.
Scepter out here in San Mateo. And, I think what makes us is our experiences. Everyone has their own lane and their own like track in life. That's what, that's what drives us. And that's what, especially for us, we have kids. So my kids drive me to be better at everything that I'm doing. Yeah. So, dude, you make me want to pull out my freaking Olympus OM1 film camera now and start shooting film so
Yo,
I could.
do it, bro. Let's go.
And I do have it still. I just, man, give me a recommendation on some film so then I can get on wherever I need to
Yeah,
get
for
it. So,
sure, man. You know what? You know what's super fun is the two rolls I dropped off today that I shot were medium format, uh
damn.
Cinestill.
Cinestill.
Yeah,
I'm
do you
writing this
know
down,
that?
by the way.
Do you know that company?
No, but I'm gonna freaking write it down right now.
Yeah, so they're taking like vintage film stock from, motion
Cinestill.
cameras, and
Really?
they've cut it down so that it fits in either 120 or 35 millimeter still camera. So I'm
Dude.
shooting love, man, there's this one, it's like a 800 ISO tungsten.
Oh, I see it right here. Yeah.
Yeah, the tungsten ones are fire, dude. So it does weird shit. So if you get like super hot highlights,
Mm-hmm.
or if you're getting like a rim around someone or something because it's backlit, like the film responds to that type of light in such a way that it's just like it creates this pretty easy to look at quality.
Yeah, I'm seeing some of the examples that they have on their website. It's really crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I also, man, I have some good friends who have just sent me or shared, if I've been in town with them or whatever, like giving me all their expired film.
Really?
So I'm shooting currently. So after I dropped those two rolls off today, I put a roll of like expired since 2005
Is that a
uh
thing?
Kodak slide film. Yeah. I'll send you some of
Expired
the stuff
film.
I've been yeah, I'll send you some of the things that I've been shooting with expired film, man. They're pretty dope. If they come out, they the film doesn't always do what it's supposed to do. But
So, hey, you guys heard it first here, man. Expired film's the new shit. That's
it's the
fucking
shit. It's all the kids know. All the kids know. It's
damn.
not easy to come by these days.
That's crazy, Luke.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm super inspired. I learned so much about you today than, um, because we've known each other for, a good
A
while at
minute.
this point,
Yeah.
and I had no idea that you were that, classically trained, and the fact that you're pretty well versed in a lot of these different types of cameras, and you're telling me about expired film and cinestill film and
And it still
all
fire.
this. See, this is the type of stuff I'm talking about. I put this
Right on.
podcast together because I felt like I wasn't able to express myself, as far as like talking about just all the creative stuff. And this is
Yeah.
what I love the most is when I learn something new and all of a sudden I'm just gonna start geeking out on this shit. That's the type
Right.
of shit that I
Right.
love. I love about talking to creatives like yourself.
Me too, man. I feel really lucky to be able to have this time and chop it with you about the work, man. I could talk shop all day, man.
And we will at some point. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have you on again. We'd
Yeah.
love to I love to just like get to know you like this, and then we can shoot the shit again, like in a future episode or just in
Yeah.
person. You know what I mean?
Would love that.
Dude, thank you so much, Luke, for coming on the show, man, because I feel like I feel like people need to hear this type of thing, especially with like the AI shit coming along and
Yeah.
people that feel lost in their careers and people stuck in their 9 to 5s and people that are super curious about the things that we do as photographers or any type of artistic talent that people can either pick up or have already known.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming on, man. And if people want to see more of your work, can you drop your Instagram handle and your website, please?
Yeah, I still got this silly ass Instagram handle. It's this is Luke Abiol, and my site is lukeatwoodabiol.com. But if you go onto my Instagram, which maybe it'll be linked in the notes or whatever, I got, in my bio, I got links to my work.
Now, for everyone, if this episode inspired you or taught you something or reminded you to still create, share this with a friend who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, hit that follow button so you don't miss any other episodes with a bunch of the creators that are going to be coming on the show. My name is Sean Pierre. This is my guy, Luke Abiol. Keep
Yeah, what up?
creating, keep growing, and I'll see you on the next episode. Luke, stay
Thanks.
on. I just want to have a little conversation with you real quick, but
Yeah, for sure.
thank you guys for watching and look out for the next episode.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no.